Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and we're doing our year-end review, but I wanted to take a break from that today to kind of talk about, is Corrupt the mechanic, the brand new mechanic that was announced at Darkmoon Faire that's been launched in the game, has it been a failure? One of the big things that was hyped up day one when Darkmoon Faire was announced was the Old Gods and the Corrupt mechanic. So if you're not aware what the Corrupt mechanic is, basically if you play a card that costs more than the card in hand, the corrupt card, it becomes corrupted. So let's use for an example here, we have Fleet Hoof Pearl Tusk, right? It's a 5-mana 4/4 beast with rush. If you play a card that costs 6 mana or more, this becomes corrupted and it basically gains +4/+4, so it's a 5-mana 8/8 with rush. So in theory, it's like, oh yeah, the corrupt cards, that's a really powerful effect, but you'll really want to get that corrupt effect. And as it turns out, corrupt cards just haven't been very prevalent on ladder. They haven't been that well used, and it's just been pretty lackluster. And a lot of people are thinking, well, it's because of Demon Hunter. Aggro Demon Hunter's all over the place. You can't really play it. It's a bit too slow. But once the Demon Hunter nerfs go live, it'll get better. But we've had the Demon Hunter nerfs go live, and as it stands, there's really not that many corrupt cards on ladder. The most popular decks on ladder are like Evolved Shaman. You have like Secret Rogue, Whirlwick Rogue. You have the usual like Control Warrior type stuff going on. Still some Demon Hunter, Face Hunter, all this stuff, but you're really not seeing much corrupt stuff. Like it's very infrequent. So why is that? So let's start off by looking at what corrupt cards are seeing play, and then taking a look at which ones aren't. So looking at HS Replay, I just basically put up a little search parameter of cards used in percentage of decks. Like this kind of gives you an idea of how common a card is. So right now, the most used corrupt card in the game is Pitmaster at 10.5% of decks. And Pitmaster is the Shaman corrupt card that if it's corrupted, it summons 2 3-tool duelists, and basically it slots right into Evolved Shaman. You get some extra guys to evolve because you've played the weapon, and that automatically corrupts Pitmaster, so therefore it's pretty good in that deck. A second is Strawman at 7.4%. 7 mana 6/6 taunt. If it's corrupted, it costs 0. So a 7 mana 6/6 taunt isn't particularly horrendous. It's not great, but getting this for free is really good. So it slots into like some of the slower decks. Like it could go to Reno Mage, like the Warlock decks that play corrupted cards, as well as like Clown Druid. It works in there. We have Insight at 5.4%. The pre-spell 2 mana draw minion. If it's corrupted, the minion gets 2 mana cheat. Basically, it doesn't even need to be corrupted for this to be good. It's 2 mana draw minion, which isn't bad. It's a lot of the times better than a spell. Ticketus at 4 is at 5.2%. And yeah, Ticketus Warlock, you run it there. It's got the very, very powerful effect of milling your opponent, basically destroying their chance of winning the game if they're any bit of a slow strategy. And at number 5, we have Cascading Disaster at 5.1%. So effectively, goes with Ticketus. You're probably running that, and it's a pretty good removal. But no other corrupt card in the entire expansion breaks 5%. And if you're looking at the least used, it's a pretty scary sight. So the least used corrupt card is Sweet Tooth, the rogue corrupt card. That's a 2 mana 3/2, and if it gets corrupted, it gets +2 attack and stealth. It's 0.1%. Dancing Cobra, the beast that gains poisonous if corrupted, is 0.2%. Don't Feed the Animals, the Hunter corrupted spell that you get basically an extra +1/+1 hand buff on Beast, 0.2%. Felseal Executioner, the Demon Hunter card that can turn into a weapon, 0.3%. And Fair Arborist at 0.4%. And Firework Elemental at 0.4%. Tied there for 5th, the Mage and Druid cards. So those are some really, really nasty numbers, and a lot more of the corrupted cards are in that 0.5, 0.6% range. So why are they so just not very good? Why are they struggling so much? And the problem is, if you look at a lot of these corrupted cards, they're unplayable. They're really unplayable unless they're corrupted. And to corrupt them, obviously have to play more expensive cards, but because most corrupted cards aren't that cheap, unless you're looking at things like Insight, it's just not flexible. And when you have like a 3 or 4 mana card or a 5 mana card that needs to be corrupted, you gotta spend 5-6 mana, and then you play that. You get that upside, but you get it like 2 turns later. So I feel like the corrupt cards really struggle because you absolutely, on the most part, need to get the upside. And if that upside doesn't make up for basically skipping playing that card 2 turns off curve. It's never going to be worth it. And, you know, you look at a card like Ticketus, its upside is ridiculous. You mill 5 cards, right? That's pretty insane. That can be game winning. So yeah, you're going to take that risk of playing a 7 or an 8 drop. Pitmaster, the one that's the most successful, it's not really a big downside to even playing it on 3. You still get like a 3 mana 4/4 in stats. But again, the upside of evolving an extra body is ridiculous. It's super strong. And again, the example like Strawman at 7 mana 6/6 taunt, you know, it's not horrendous, but the upside of getting that 0 mana 6/6 taunt is incredibly flexible and really good. So the few rare like corrupt cards that work is because they don't have this like really negative struggle to get it out of your hand to begin with. And I kind of wanted to compare this mechanic to basically the most panned, the most memed on mechanic in the game, and that's Joust. That was introduced during the Grand Tournament. I believe the third or the second expansion ever in Hearthstone history. And the way Joust worked was, you know, it would reveal a minion from each player's deck. And if you revealed a more expensive minion than your opponent, you would get the effect. And it had the same problem as Corrupt does, that if you don't get that bonus, the card is terrible. Very few Joust cards saw play. You had like King's Elec that saw play in Hunter as a 2 mana 3/2 beast, and if you won the Joust, you draw a card. But effectively, if you played a 2 mana 3/2 beast in Hunter, it's not that bad. It has all the beast synergies. It's a premium stat minion. If you miss the Joust, oh well, it sucks, but it's not game losing. You also like healing, I think Healing Wave or Healing Touch, something like that for Shaman. Again, you would heal for either 7 or I believe 14. The healing for 7 was like not that bad, but if you got the boost on it, that was amazing. But then you had cards like the Skeleton Knight, where if you lost the Joust, you're playing a 6 mana 7/4, and that's it. You had cards like Master Jouster. It's a 6 mana 5/6. If you lost the Joust, it didn't have Taunt or Divine Shield. So you're probably going to die if you played it. Or Tuskar Jouster. If you play the 5 mana 5/5 Paladin minion and you lost the Joust, you didn't heal. So there was this really big downside. So those cards just didn't see a lot of play. And that's basically with Corrupt, right? Like you have to corrupt these cards. You have to play it off curve. So if it doesn't have this insane immediate impact, it just doesn't work. And you look at cards like Carnival Clown, which in theory look incredibly powerful. And you see it like in Druid where they play like Survival of the Fittest and they have a gigantic board of unkillable clowns, and it's insane. But again, it's 9 mana. You have to play a 10 mana card. There's not that many cards that let you cheat, you know, stay alive while playing it. You could perhaps, you know, you got your Sentinels and your Strawmans, but overall it's very clunky. So yeah, Corrupt for the most part just hasn't worked out. And I've even mentioned there's the whole support card in Yashiraj that gives you corrupted cards back, and they all cost 0. And it's still not enough to carry this archetype or make it remotely like a meta-dominant thing. Basically, the corrupt cards just are good on their own, happen to like support certain decks, and you know, even if it's not corrupted, it's not unplayable. And how do you fix this? How do you make Corrupt a playable thing? I think it's just going to be one of those mechanics that's just underwhelming. Probably doesn't really become like this major player in the game, probably ever. But, you know, these cards will slot into certain decks. There might be synergy that opens up later down the road. But overall, yeah, I mean, Corrupt just hasn't been that great. Hasn't been that amazing. But I do think it's an interesting concept. I like the idea of playing off curve, rewarding that. It's just the rewards, for the most part, aren't really high enough. And the downside of playing a non-corrupted card is just way too high. So let me know in the comments below, how do you feel about the Corrupt mechanic? Do you see it as a failure? What would you actually try and fix it? And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day, and stay salty, my friends.